recording is in progress, so we can begin. Hello and welcome to our Maternal Mental Health Panel event. My name is Sydney Bell, and I'm the program lead of the Ontario Network of CAPC CPNP Projects. And I'm delighted to welcome you to our event here, Our Voice, Our Strength. And I'd like to hand things over to Blanca to begin us in a good way with a land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Sydney. And hello, everyone. My name is Blanca Serrano. I work with the Public Health Agency of Canada. I'm a program lead and have the great privilege to work with CAPC CPNP programs across Ontario. And I would like to offer land acknowledgements to get us started today. And although we are gathering here virtually, we want to acknowledge that we are each joining from lands across what is now called Ontario, home to many Indigenous nations, including the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Wendat, the Mississaugas of the Credit, and the Métis peoples. We honor the original caretakers of these lands and the enduring presence and resilience of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis communities. As we open our event today, we commit to listening with respect, learning with humility, and walking together in the spirit of relationship, healing, and reconciliation. Thank you.
Thank you, Blanca. So what we are going to do together today is I'm going to provide just a quick overview of our network to you. And then we're going to spend some time checking out our poster presentation board. I'm excited to share that with you. We'll just spend maybe 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes with that. Then we'll be moving into our panel presentations, and we have three folks here from projects across Ontario who will each have about 10 minutes to tell us about their work, so we get some highlights. And then after that, Blanca and I will host, the whole group will have some opportunity for discussion, certainly asking our panel members some questions or talking amongst ourselves. And then we'll be wrapping up by 4 o'clock and doing a bit of a group reflection on the event, and that will be our time together. Hopefully that all made sense. But I wanted to begin by talking a little bit about our network and just letting you know who we are and, you know, our purpose and some of the resources that we offer. So our network is a province-wide community of CAPC and CPNP project staff working together to support families. This is the work that you do, supporting families during pregnancy, early parenting, and the early years, and especially in communities facing barriers like poverty, isolation, racism, colonization. So our network supports the work that you all do. Our purpose is to connect project staff through shared learning, like our event today, peer connection, and accessing resources that hopefully strengthen your community-based work. And we do that through online learning events, such as this one. We have a network newsletter. There are Zoom meetings that happen in 5 areas across the province. And there's also the WebConnects website, which I hope you are all connected to access tools and things like videos of webinar and events and updates from our funder, Public Health Agency of Canada, all kinds of things. So each year, we like to acknowledge Maternal Mental Health Awareness Day, week, the whole month, and we host an event to bring us all together. And that event today, you know, is part of this maternal mental health focus. And we hosted just before this an Indigenous project sharing circle. And So all of this together, we're hoping to hear from our projects across Ontario that are, the work that you're doing actively responding to maternal mental health needs in thoughtful, creative, and supportive ways. And so that's sort of a general overview of our network. And was there anything else we wanted to say, Blanca, before I go into the poster presentation overview?
No, not. I think you captured it really great. Thank you.
Okay. So, here, let me just, okay, I just want to set the context for this a little bit. We want to take a few minutes to highlight some of the fantastic contributions from our network projects. And we tried something new, and we invited everybody to consider submitting a poster presentation as part of our online event. This is the first time we've done that. So we were really thrilled that Brass Bell Family Resource Center in the Northwest Zone took us up on the invitation. And I'm going to share this right now in my using screen sharing. And I will put the link to this in the chat once I'm done so that you can interact with it on your own. But here, let me just share. Now, are you with me here? Do you see the board? Excellent. Yep. So first, I'm going to zoom in to the poster that was submitted to us. And so this is from Brass Bell Family Resource Center in the Northwest Zone. And their poster offers a look into how their team is supporting mental health programs. Let me zoom in a little bit more. In community-driven and responsive ways. And their Babies Day Out program is a really great example of everyday innovation happening across our projects. And we also wanted to, so you will have a chance to come to this board and look and read a little bit more about the work that they are doing. And I have, if you want to reach out, you can reach out to Colleen Gelman, who is their executive director. So again, big props to Brass Bell for putting this together and submitting this. And so I also wanted to show you a resource spotlight. And this was created by the NEOFACS, the Northeastern Ontario Family and Children's Services. And what they've done is they've developed a set of mental health fact sheets that support families and frontline staff. These fact sheets that they have in English and French are clear and practical, and they are garnered from this manual here, Seeds of Hope, Nurturing Mental Health and Managing Perinatal Mood, Anxiety, and Related Disorders, which was produced by the Canadian Network for Mood and Anxiety Treatments. So really interesting and helpful resource there. And when you go to the board, you'll see a link here where you can access all the fact sheets and this manual and make use of them for yourself. And thanks to Rachelle Pelletier from NEOFACS for generously allowing me to include this in our community spotlight here today. And when you come to the board, check it out, read it over. And we also love to hear from you. We want to hear your humble brags about the work that you're doing, and possibly tell us, ways that you engage with participants to talk about their mental health, or programs and resources that you really like to make use of. And so you're able to just grab a sticky note, pull it over, and share some thoughts if you're so inclined. Okay. So I'll stop sharing. And I will put the link to this board in the chat. And you're welcome to go into it as we're as we're together today and check it out and share your thoughts. Any questions or comments about that? Okay. All right. So where are we now? Blanca, we're actually doing pretty good for
Ready?
time, which
Yeah,
is
we're doing
good.
great. Yeah.
And you will introduce our panelists. And what I will do as each panelist is speaking, is I'll highlight them. So hopefully then that will sort of, bring them into focus for everybody. So I'll hand it over to you, Blanca.
Okay, thanks, Sydney. So I'll be introducing our three panel speakers all at once, and then we'll go, each person will do their 10 minutes. And Sydney will, I think, raise your hand when you're like a minute into your 10 minutes.
I
We want to
might even put a little timer on my window just so we all know where we're at.
we want to keep within that so that there's more time for discussion. And if people have questions and want to ask you, then we'll have that time after your presentations. But I just really want to thank you for taking the time, all of you, and especially our panel members today. Like Sydney said, we have been gathering to discuss the important topic of maternal mental health together with the network. I think this is our third annual, if not fourth annual. I don't know. We've been doing it, and it's been really important to take this time to reflect on our work, because you all do amazing work, supporting women and moms and pregnant people at a time when they most need it. So it is great that we are able to come together and hold that space. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our panel. Ashley McNevin is a CAPC project coordinator at Peterborough Child and Family Centers, where she's also the coordinator of a postpartum mood disorder group. Jasmine Ferreira is a director of programs and evaluation at the Stop Community Food Center here in Toronto. And Lisa Froman is part of an infant massage program at Our Children, Our Future in Sudbury. So welcome, everyone. Thank you so much. And I guess we'll get started with Ashley.
Hi, sorry about that. Okay, thank you
Ashley?
for having me. Can you guys hear me okay?
We hear
Yes.
you.
Yeah, okay,
I hear you.
perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so I'm Ashley, and as Blanca said, I'm a child and family educator here at Peterborough Child and Family Centers. I've been the coordinator of one of our CAPC programs called Steps and Stages since I started, so almost 6 years ago. But today I'm going to talk a little bit more about our Not What I Expected program. But yeah, we do offer a few other CAPC and CPNP programs within our agency. But like I said, I do the Steps and Stages, which is our infant program. And then, yeah, Not What I Expected. So I've sort of recently moved into the role of co-facilitating that program. I've done two groups now. So Not What I Expected is an 8-week group for women who are experiencing postpartum depression or anxiety. The group is a partnership with the Partners in Pregnancy Clinic in Peterborough, which is a family health team that provides comprehensive um, maternity and newborn care in the area. So PIPC, Partners in Pregnancy, provides us with a social worker who specializes in um, maternal mental health. And then our agency provides the child and family educator, so myself or a few of our other staff as well. Um, and so the group provides, an opportunity for moms to come together and talk about their experiences in the postpartum period. So the program is for women with children, 0 to 12 months. So sort of any time within that first year, they can join into this program. Um, so yeah, so again, they're going to, come together. We're going to talk about their experiences, their challenges, coping strategies, learn more about what postpartum mood disorders are, as well as things like self-care and resiliency, and caring for their baby. The program, also allows a space for moms to just come together for connection, and an opportunity to, meet other moms that are experiencing sort of um, similar experiences. Some of the unique elements, I think, of this program is that the moms attend this group with their babies. So, there's other postpartum groups out there, that are, just focused on mom, which, is great. But this one, we also know that moms need to be parenting. So, sort of navigating those challenges that you're experiencing at the same time as parenting. So yeah, we kind of focus on all of that together. We set up that we're all sort of on the floor together, and hanging out there. So it feels a little bit more like a play group and less like a counseling session. But there's all sort of those elements of what you would maybe find in some other sort of typical, um, counseling groups. So we have a combination of, curriculum or discussion prompts that focus on supporting mom's needs. So, talking about intrusive thoughts and the use of medications, coping strategies, all, like I said, all those topics that you would expect. But we're also mixing that in with infant mental health and infant development. And building that healthy parent-child attachment, and some opportunities for play because, again, we've got babies in the room, so we're going to have fun too. Um, I think that we're able to foster sort of a supportive environment, kind of right away by, in week one, we sort of come together as a group and establish, what everyone needs to feel supported and comfortable within the group to share their experiences. Like I said, we set up so we're all together, um, all kind of on the same level. So, there's not this like, we're the facilitators and, here's the moms down here. We're just all on one level together. We serve snacks. So, of course, food's always a great way to bring people together. But in this program, we serve them snacks. So myself and co-facilitator walk around at break and deliver snacks to them, which, seems like a small little thing, but at the end of each program, when we do the evaluation, every time we get somebody that says how special that made them feel and how cared for, they felt because, they spend so much time sort of caring for others that just felt really special. So there's, so many things I love about this program and lots of, great things about it. But of course, it's not without challenges. Um, Sometimes just getting people in the door can be a challenge. So, stigma and fear continue to be a challenge for people and a barrier for families. The fear of judgment, the fear of, we hear the fear of children being taken away, for sharing, if they share sort of what they're experiencing, and the fear of not being believed. We've heard on multiple occasions that, sometimes moms have felt sort of dismissed by their healthcare provider, when they go to talk about their experience. We actually had one mom in this last group who was experiencing some pretty significant mental health challenges. And when she went to her doctor, his advice to her was to start going to church. Um, sh Thankfully, she knew that she needed some help. So she did go to the hospital, where she actually ended up being admitted for over a week. So there was something there for sure. And the hospital was actually the one that referred her to us. So, again, thankfully she got the help she needed. She found us. Of course, she still has a road ahead of her, but she left this group feeling much more able to sort of take take on life. Um, a lack of resources, of course, continues to be a challenge as well. I mean, we run this group twice a year. We would love to do it more, but capacity wise, we just between us and the Partners in Pregnancy Clinic, we just don't have the capacity to do more than 2 a year. Now, our other CAPC programs are running, kind of year round. And so we're still hitting people all the time, but this program in particular, we run it twice a year. Um, and yeah, again, in the last group, we had one mom who was coming, she was an hour and a half away from Peterborough, but we were the closest in-person program for her. There were some virtual options, but she really wanted that connection piece. So yeah, once a week, she was driving 3 hours to get to us to attend the program. So again, I know we've got a really great thing going with this program, but again, like I think all of us, we feel like we can only reach so many, and we know there's lots more that we would love to be doing. Yeah, I don't know where I am for time, but I feel like I'm probably getting
You've got
close.
2 minutes left.
2 minutes? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I had prepared to talk about. Again, I mean,
Yeah.
I could go on about it forever, but
No, that's okay. Whenever you're
um,
comfortable to wrap up.
yeah, so I think, like I said, I've sort of shared sort of the key aspects of the program. And then, if there's time at the end, happy to answer questions, but thank you for having me and listening.
Thank you, Ashley. Yeah, I'll remove your spotlight and go back over to Blanca. Thanks, Ashley.
Mm-hmm. Thanks so much, Ashley. That was really great to learn about your program. And so we'll move on to Jasmine.
Hi, and my brain works in slide deck, so I'm just gonna ask permission to share
Yep.
screen.
One moment, no problem. Let me just quickly, there you go. You should be able to now, Jasmine.
Okay, so just bear with me. Double screening, which always throws me off. Okay. Is that
Yep,
working?
you're good. Yep, that looks good.
Wonderful. So hello, everyone. Really feel lucky to be with you all and sort of in this community and knowledge exchange space. Shared, my name is Jasmine Pereira. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I am the director of programs and evaluation here at the Stop Community Food Center. I am a social worker by background. And while my portfolio bridges a lot of diverse programming, I feel really privileged to oversee and support our maternal and gestational health programs. My pre-social work career, I worked for the Association of Ontario Midwives on policy and communications and was part of the campaign to develop midwife-led birth centers. And so when I came into this role, it's only been a year. I was really excited to be part of this program, and it has been an absolute joy to get to know and get closer to. And so that's just a little bit about me and why I love being part of this particular program. The Stop, as an organization, for those that don't know, we're a community food center. So I like to say we're a food bank plus. We do a lot more. So we're over 40 years old as an organization. Our focus is on increasing access to healthy food. We believe that food brings people together. That's at the core of all of our programming, including our maternal and gestational mental health programming. We center dignity in everything we do. It was a big unlearning for me coming from a social work background where we have clients in our organization. Everyone is a community member or a participant. And we really seek to challenge inequity, inequality, and poverty. And so when I say plethora or diverse programming from urban gardening to our direct food banking, we do drop-in meals, community advocacy, and our prenatal work. We are one of the first food banks in Canada. And I say that with mixed feelings, as a lot of folks in food banking know. We were never meant to be a long-term solution. And so again, that systemic work we do is really important, and I would love to be out of a job. But we are needed more than ever, so we will continue to do what we do. So I'm going to talk about Healthy Beginnings, which is the prenatal and postnatal program that we run out of the stop. We also, as a CPNC program, support Great Start Together in partnership with Parkdale Queen West out of their location. So that's a collaborative effort, but I'm just going to speak to Healthy Beginnings today. So we do weekly in-person workshops on a variety of topics, from newborn care. These are just some examples: lactation, baby food basics, and wellness. Throughout that program, we offer wraparound care through food access and professional supports. We do this in partnership. I'll speak a little more to that in a little bit. Through Healthy Beginnings alone, we reach over 100 families annually. When you combine with our Great Start Together, we're plus 200 families in Toronto. A big part of programming is food. So we provide a healthy lunch as part of programming. We have an amazing kitchen and chef team. We provide weekly food hampers, and then we also supplement with food vouchers so that folks can access food throughout the week and what food needs they have for their families. And during program, we offer child minding on site. And our sort of overall aims include bringing families together, reducing social isolation, enabling sharing. So during lunch, folks are able to connect with one another and build relationships, and following sort of the workshop where they're gaining knowledge and skills. And there's a lot of peer support in that space, which is a really wonderful thing to observe. We're talking about voices, so I couldn't not include some of the voices. I think as everyone here, we just did our in-depth needs assessment, so I have a wealth of data, and it was nice to be able to incorporate it, but this was from a past participant in Healthy Beginnings. It made a huge difference. It provided my family with food during a very difficult financial situation. It gave me instructional lectures on what was happening to my body during my pregnancy that were essential to my peace of mind. And most of all, it gave me a community, a way to meet people who have become my friends until today, whom without I don't know what I would have done. So, and I had so many of these quotes and stories to pick from. It was actually quite difficult, but I think it shows kind of that food connection piece, as well as the community and all the touch points we focus on in this program that ultimately, I think, have a beneficial impact on mental well-being and mental health. I won't spend a lot of time, but again, we have a lot of data, so I couldn't not share it. This survey we did in September was with program participants that had been in the program. So one of my future goals is to do a bit more pre-post testing. But I wasn't surprised to see positive mental health outcomes at the end of program, because I think what we do is so important. And so most folks reported having very good or good and excellent health, mental health, spiritual health, emotional health. Only a few reported sort of still struggling. And we know there's complexity in everyone we work with that comes into program, but overall, I think it speaks to the impact we have. We also asked other questions. So 1 in 5 of our participants was still experiencing significant isolation. We work with a lot of newcomer and immigrant parents. And so that was not a surprising finding, but I think important to highlight. When asked if mental health concerns like mood, motivation, and anxiety limited their daily activities, almost half said sometimes, which I think is an important sort of middle road finding. 20% said yes, and 35% said no. And so again, I think we have a lot of diverse folks in our program coming from very different realities. And I think that's a factor sort of where they are at the end of program, but overall we had a lot of positive feedback in terms of their mental well-being post-program. So our approach, why do I think we're having success? I really think our team and partners do an incredible job providing holistic support. So we have a lot of one-to-one. There's that peer dynamic. We create spaces through programming to talk about pregnancy, parenting, well-being, the hard stuff. And I think just the design of our programming actively reduces that isolation and builds confidence. And so this was another quote from a participant this past year. I've been in severe depression, and the only thing that helped me was coming to this program twice a month. So again, that direct mental health impact of coming to program, being with folks, maybe going through similar experiences, and being able to have those conversations over a meal while getting access to those resources that are really necessary. I just love. We have a lot of cute photos. I could not include that. Creating supportive environments, what helps birthing parents open up. Again, if I were to sort of bottle the lightning I think we have in this program, we do have a really multidisciplinary team approach. I think it's a repeat of a future slide, but we have family support workers, settlement workers, lactation consultant, and a variety of others. I think the fact that we offer meals and childcare and transportation supports is a testament to our attendance and the accessibility of the program. It's a long program for some women, depending on when they join us, but they're able to build trust because they're here for, anywhere from a full year, depending on, again, when they enroll. And we really do try to offer as much translation and language accessibility considerations as we can. So currently we have Spanish and Portuguese live translation. We occasionally have Ukrainian, Russian. And so these are pieces we're looking to expand because we know when we offer language accessible services, especially in Toronto, working with newcomer women, it makes a huge impact specifically on that mental health support piece. We have gaps like all of you. I'm sure these are familiar. We are a program first and foremost, so we have limited ability to be available and or manage sort of those crisis mental health moments. So it's something we're looking at because we're definitely noticing an increase in complexity of the women coming into program and what their needs are and increased complex mental health challenges. We still have language barriers. We don't have every language available. And as we see shifts in the geopolitical space, we do over years see that come through our program. And so we also want to be nimble and ready to adjust language needs as our community changes. And then the funding limitations I think we all face, which just ultimately impacts how deep we can go on those one-to-one supports. And so trying to do as much as we can with the resources we have are the goals. I'm almost through. I think I'm over time. I just want to show.
I was just about to give you your wrap-up signal.
This is my second to last slide.
Cool.
Just want to shout out our partnerships. We do not do this alone. So while I'm wearing my stop hat, we work very closely with Davenport Perth Neighborhood Community Health Center, Parkdale Queen West Community Health Center. Sorry, that's a typo. The Neighborhood Group, Midwives Collective, Birthmark, Toronto Public Health, and many others that come in and support workshops, provide that on-site wraparound support. And we're looking, again, in our future iterations to expand and consider how we can integrate mobile health, legal aid, and more crisis mental health supports through partnership, because that's one of the creative ways we address those funding gaps. Again, littles, cuties.
So cute.
The folks we support. And then as we look ahead, this is coming out of our needs assessment and where we hope to take our programming. So expanding those partnerships with a focus on supporting mental health and well-being. We want to explore our peer support models, including alumni models, increase our trauma-informed, culturally safe programming, and engage fathers and co-parents more intentionally. And I really, even with this presentation, did a review of my language. And so gestational, birthing parents, all of these language shifts we have to make as a team to build inclusivity in our program is something that I really want to prioritize going into the years ahead. And I will stop there. And looking forward to engaging in further conversation today with all of you. Thank you. Now, how do I get out of here?
How do you stop? There
There
you
we
go. Thank you, Jasmine.
Thank you so much, Jasmine. And thanks for all those cute pictures. Nice. Okay, so now we welcome Lisa.
Hello, everybody. So I am Lisa Froman. I'm here representing Our Children, Our Future. And the specific program I'm going to talk about today is our infant massage program. So I spoke on to a CAPC group a few years ago once I was first certified as an infant massage instructor, and talked all about the program and how wonderful it was. And I was just starting out then. So I was trained in 2022, certified in 2022. And since then, I've had more than 100 babies come through the program, which makes me really, really happy. It's such a wonderful program. And we do get to touch on some mental health, topics. It is sort of ingrained into the program. But what I'm going to do is I took notes. Sydney, I'm so glad you sent some little prompting notes, because that's sort of how I am able to reflect on it. So the program itself is a 5-week program. And I can run it. I'm partnering with different libraries throughout our community in Sudbury. I provide the program for free. There's always food involved. It's always a very small group. Our last group that I just ran there were 3 different, we only had 3, and usually it's either 5 to 7 people in the group, and partners are allowed to come as well. So that's how we're engaging other, co-parents or fathers who happen to want to come to the program. When you asked about your voice, your strength, this topic. So I did write some notes for myself. So your voice, your strength to me means first and foremost listening and acknowledging. So whatever is being said in this small group, hopefully we've done a little bit of connecting by having some casual conversations as parents come in. I always check in with everybody. I check in with the babies. I check in with the moms, check in with all the parents, make sure that everybody's having an okay day, or how was their trip to wherever they went. And hopefully over the course of those 5 weeks, we start to develop that relationship a little bit more, so people feel a little bit more comfortable opening up about any challenges or successes or wonderful things that are going on. And it's really, I'm seeing once one person says something, somebody else goes, oh yeah, me too. That's happening to me as well. Or, it's really, they're seeing that this is happening, you're not alone, and we can go through these things together, and we can talk about them, and it's okay to talk about them. So your voice, your strength means to me, first of all, listening and acknowledging. And second, it's encouraging parents to speak their realities, their joys, their fears, using their voice with the understanding that there is strength in truth, there is strength in asking for help, there is strength in community and voicing commonalities, as well as celebrating differences. And so that last group that I was running, 3 women from 3 very different places. And one of the comments that I received, and I always do an evaluation at the end of the program, was it was so wonderful to be able to share all of these cultures. And I try to promote that by asking specific questions. So the format of the program is such that we have a discussion question, we share there's a little bit about theory, but then we open it up to any sort of conversations that are interested in talking about. But one of the things that I always prompt is to ask how they've named their baby, or why they chose to name the baby what they did. And oftentimes there are wonderful, wonderful stories that are, there's a traditional way of naming a baby depending on the day that they were born or the time that they were born, and so it's really wonderful to see faces light up like, wow, this is something that I can talk about, that I can share with this group that perhaps not everybody would know about. I also talk about what kind of family traditions they'd like to pass on to their children. You know, is there something specific that you're doing that you would really be happy if your children continued to do, or is there a new tradition that you're starting in your family? So those kind of things, open-ended questions, really, I think help parents become a little bit more comfortable with sharing those things with each other. Um, so how is your voice, your strength reflected into the program? Small group sizes. I like what Ashley said about sitting down on the floor. We sit on the ground. I bring blankets. We have all of these little baby blankets that are donated by Sudbury Quilting Guild. And so everybody has their own little blanket that they can sit on. And I bring mats, and we try to make it very comfortable. And it's not, and as an educator by trade, I guess by education, that it's not that I'm sitting up here and you know, it's not that we're sharing together. And I allow time for pauses, you know, holding that space and just saying, okay, it's okay if we don't have anything that we want to say right now, and that's okay. And also, I've become more comfortable with people crying, you know, that holding that space for people who are really upset, and not necessarily taking it on myself, because I tend to do that. And I was waiting for the day once we went moving from virtual, the program back during COVID, to the program being in person. I was worried that once one baby would start to cry, maybe another baby would start to cry, then everybody would be crying, and we'd all be lactating, and everybody's crying, all the babies are crying, but that it hasn't happened yet, touch wood. And it just seems like the program itself makes me so, so, so happy, because they're all interacting with each other. They're really interacting with their baby. The program is really based on baby's needs. Baby is the star of the show, and baby is our teacher. So seeing parents interacting with their babies one-on-one, you know, it's really increasing that bond. It's really increasing that ability to read your baby's cues, especially if it's your first baby and you're kind of like, I'm not really sure. It gain in confidence of learning what it is that you think your baby wants. Um, yeah. How can we create supportive environments for mothers to openly discuss mental health challenges? So again, creating a safe space where everybody is allowed, and you can say what you want without feeling judged. Um, Open-ended questions, and again, those small groups. And so what has worked well in my program to support this is again having those open discussions and having those parents say, "Oh yeah, me that happened to me as well. Has anybody else experienced this? I'm not the expert in this, so this isn't I'm not answering questions. I'm putting these questions back to the group, and I'm offering resources, you know, our mental health programs, or perinatal mental health services, or crisis services, whatever else is needing. And I am asking them, do they know where to go to? Where do we go to for information that we're looking for specific things? And I always put it back to the group. So it's really that shared common experience, which I think is beneficial. Um, I had, I wish I'd done like Jasmine had done and made like a whole thing. I don't have that. I did do a summary of the program evaluations that I've done for the past year, and I just highlighted some of the things that parents had said. So what did you like best about the class? A lot of people had said that connecting with other moms was the most important thing. So connecting with other moms, learning about other cultures, learning about other people's experiences, the flexibility of the program. So while there is a set program, you know, we learn one particular body part one week, the next week we learn the next body part, and then we'll review the other one. So we build on the program week after week, and it becomes a little bit longer as we go. People enjoyed open-ended conversations, allowing everyone to contribute their experiences and thoughts. Um, Getting to talk about my baby, connecting to baby and also to other moms. So these are some things that I thought might be important to highlight. How do we continue to do this, starting with casual conversations, getting to know each other, asking open-ended questions, validating mom's experiences. These are what they said was important to them, that their experiences were validated. I always felt welcome and safe. I always did a check-in. I would always felt welcome and I never felt judged. And then some other things, I just really loved this class. I loved what I learned, the tools I received, and the community while in class. And this was a great session to have after delivery. So, as a part of our Children Our Future, this is just one program that we offer as part of our pre and postnatal supports. We also offer a Creating Healthy Babies program. So, this is kind of part of the continuum. So, we would do a Creating Healthy Babies program, a prenatal nutrition program, and then we're going to segue into infant massage and then a welcome baby program. So a welcome baby program would happen once a week. And so there's this idea that we can smoothly transition from one program to the next. And some programs you might be in for a few months. Some programs you might be able to continue for a full year and a half, 2 years. And we want to also be introducing other staff members who are running these programs so that it's a continuum for a parent. So a parent comes in for the first time, they meet one person, but they're also going to meet other people from our team as well. So hopefully over the next year, we'll be transitioning and doing things a little bit differently and trying to make sure that it really is a smooth transition from prenatal to postnatal and beyond. And I think that's all I have to say about that.
Thank you, Lisa, and thank you, panel. What amazing presentations and that you've shared with us, the work that you do. I just take away, how passionate you are and how like just the care that you have for this work is very evident. And you've left us with really great information and reflection on the work, how food is very important, how building relationships, building community, not feeling judged, feeling validated, all those are part of mental health and in such an amazing way. The way that you do it, nobody knows what you're doing, that you're doing that. So it's amazing. I think did we want to open it up for questions from the
Yeah,
group?
if folks have questions, feel free to unmute or type it in the chat. We also have some follow-up questions as well. But I just wanted to reiterate what you said, Blanca, and what Ashley mentioned right at the beginning. I loved your story, Ashley, about serving the snacks and how you intentionally, sort of make that as an offering. And it felt like a beautiful example of what Blanca was just saying, right? In terms of how we hold that space. Yeah, so okay. Does anybody have a question or comment from the panel? Feel free to unmute and shout it out or put it in the chat.
I just wanted to share just
Yeah.
one resource as well. I pulled it out and I have it, and I love this resource, and we've been using it more and more. So this is
Your guide to postpartum
there you
health.
go. And it really so much information. Look, and I just opened it up to mental health page, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, Lee is commenting in the chat that they use that one too.
They use it too, yeah.
So yeah, that's a really great. We should make sure we have that in our resource directory on WebConnects. Lisa, would you mind emailing me that name just to make sure when you have a moment, or I can follow up with you and ask you as well. Well, maybe we could throw one of our questions, Blanca. The first one we had was, in your opinion, what do you see as our CAPC and CPNP strength in this whole, supporting maternal mental health? Like, what do you see as CAPC and CPNP strengths when it comes to that? So opening that up to Ashley, Lisa, or Jasmine, if you have some thoughts.
I have thoughts.
Lisa, share your thoughts.
No, go ahead, Lisa.
I think even just from hearing about these two other programs, I think our ability to design programs how we would like them to be, or how we see that we're meeting the needs of our communities that we're working with. I think that's one of our strengths for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. We can be responsive, right? Yeah. Yeah. Any other thoughts? Was Ashley, you had a thought?
Yeah, I was just, I totally agree with that too, Lisa. But, and I also think that, if we just even look at the objectives of CAPC programs, reducing social isolation, and improving the parent-child relationships, right? Like those
Right.
two things alone, usually can help to contribute to a decrease in maternal mental health issues.
That's right. Yeah, we can really draw on that foundational piece.
For sure, yeah.
I'll also add, I think, I've had a long history of working in different projects with different ministries, federal, provincial, municipal. This is a special place. Like the amount of cross collaboration between CAPC and CPNC, the fact that you engage in these sort of knowledge exchange opportunities regularly and have developed this network. In the realm of program and project delivery, it's really unique and it's really special. And I think it feeds back into the quality of work that we're able to provide, and that opportunity to learn from one another and move these larger systemic issues forward, which is why I think all of us are engaged in this work. So, yeah.
Neat. I appreciate that. Thanks,
That's
Jasmine.
great. Yeah, I have to agree that one of the program principles for CAPC and CPNP is flexibility and community-based. And I think that has really served this programs and communities so well, be able to be responsive and nimble, to the needs of families. So thank you. So I guess I'll go with one of the other questions we have. How do you create cultural safe and inclusive spaces that honor the voices of diverse families? Are there particular communities or populations you focus on?
Definitely, I heard all of you sort of maybe touching on that in what you gave, but if there's further thoughts that any of you have around that.
I think I mentioned the language access piece, and we actually had a lot of that feedback during our needs assessment about how important that was to making program accessible. So I said we have Portuguese, Spanish, Ukrainian, occasionally Mandarin, and we hire and work with partners that also speak these languages. So it's not just the in-workshop live translation of the learning. We also have a very diverse team of staff, of family support workers, of settlement workers. And so across everyone, I feel like that, we're able to reach a lot more folks in a deeper and more meaningful way. I had some notes on this one. I think knowing who our participants are, I think everyone has this frame for their programs, and we recognize how many are newcomers and that this has to be a focus for us. Ongoing feedback and sort of being dynamic and adjusting our program to what Blanca said, as things change, as communities change, it's not a one size fits all. So having that continuous evaluative component is critical. And then our core planning is also, I would say, somewhat nimble. Our workshops are co-developed with community partners, with the feedback we get from community members. So we're also trying to adjust the core content of learning that we're offering to be culturally responsive and culturally meaningful. So whether that's cultural food practices for our organization as a food center, it might be birthing traditions, values around family roles, and those are all things I'm really also excited to explore through this broader gender based lens that we're looking at in sort of expanding our program. But those are some of the top notes from us.
Yes.
Excellent. Are there any comments or questions from anyone? Any follow-up? No? Should we go with another question then? Another?
Or Ashley or Lisa, did either of you have anything you want to say to that one?
I think I kind of mentioned yeah, in sharing stories and asking about what are your traditions, or what would you be doing if you weren't here, or if you were someplace different. And those naming ceremonies, things like that, that I think helps create a safe space culturally. Sharing a little bit about my own background as an Indigenous and, queer person as well, just the ideas that we're all very different, but we have way more similarities than we do in differences. But let's celebrate those differences as well as those similarities. My last group we had talked about maybe bringing in some food, doing a little potluck at the end of it. Unfortunately, we didn't have the space. I was able to get some store-bought stuff from my cultural side, but I wasn't able to actually. But in a different space, that might be a wonderful way, sharing food and sharing different recipes and stuff. I would like to do that.
Sure.
Nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I would just
Lisa.
Ashley, go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, yeah, and I would just kind of follow up again with I agree, Lisa, like sharing their stories, and yeah, that the idea that different cultures may have different thoughts around mental health too, right? And some of the women that we are seeing come in, how they would typically in, our newcomer families, what they're used to. We've had a mom who had two other babies when she was in Nigeria, and her experience there was very different because she was surrounded by her family and that whole community piece. And then she came here, and it was the shock of, what do you mean nobody's going to be there for me? That I just got to do this on my own, And so yeah, but just allowing those conversations to happen, allows that support too.
Yeah, definitely.
Great.
Thank you. Well, we also invited you to think about the question, how can we work to ensure that fathers and partners are also educated and supported in recognizing and addressing maternal mental health issues. So wondering if any of you have reflections on that one.
Okay, I'll go first again.
Sure. Okay. Thank you, Lisa.
So specifically in the infant massage program, we welcome other parents to join. So if a couple wants to come in, hopefully we are engaging the other partner as well, be that a dad or whoever else. So we can talk about those things that we would normally talk about, and we're just gonna continue to do the program as the program is run, and we're gonna hopefully it does change the dynamic. Absolutely. I had one group of 7, there was actually 8 babies because there was a set of twins, and I had 3 male partners who were there, who were on paternity leave actually, and who were there to learn how to massage the baby as well. So we continue to have those same conversations and open it up and talk about it. One of the other things that our Children Our Future is looking at doing is our public health unit is transitioning a program to us called Prep for Parenting, which includes a big portion on maternal mental health and how things might change afterwards. And it seems as though currently, as the program is being running through the health unit, it is couples that are coming to this prior to the baby being born, and then they're getting that whole list of information and what could potentially, what may happen after the birth, what might not happen after the birth, and then they're getting all of the resources as well. Here's the communities that we can go to. So that's engaging fathers specifically or additional partners.
Excellent. That's great, Lisa.
Okay.
Ashley, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, not what I expected is a program for moms. So we're not seeing the dads there. Oh, sorry, I'm just knocking things over here. There. But in our other CAPC and CPNP programs, we are seeing dads, attending with their partners, which means, they're getting the same sort of messages and information. I know I was talking to our coordinator of Babies First, which is our CPNP program, and she was mentioning that they once a month do a session on mental health. So they'll bring in different professionals, whether that's from PIPC or Canadian Mental Health, and they kind of focus mostly on maternal mental health. But again, the dads in that program are getting that information. Lisa, I also do infant massage on in some of our other programs too, and I would just agree that the sessions that have dads in them changes the dynamic, but it's also so great. And I had a dad who came, and in conversation, I think he learned a lot because he was like, I thought we were alone in this. I thought this was just something my wife was going through, and I didn't realize that it was, there were so many other women experiencing the same thing. So which was really great, I think, for him to experience that too. But yeah, and that he felt better able to support her now, knowing that, they weren't alone. So
Right. Makes a difference. Sure. Jasmine?
Yeah, no, these are all in line with, I think, where we're also wanting to take our programming. Similarly, we want to explore what it might mean to, if not monthly, quarterly, consider one of our workshops being inclusive of co-parents or fathers. That's a relevant topic for co-parenting, and it's something that was identified by our participants as wanting through the needs assessment. So that's a piece we're going to explore, and then also reviewing. It's not just the live programming. We send out newsletters, we develop resources, and so I think there's opportunity to review those through this lens, and not everything needs to be written. Just for moms, I think there's a lot of resources we develop that could be shaped to be relevant for the family and the co-parenting piece. So just reviewing existing materials, and again, our approach to language, which really can go a long way. So not just the live programming, but those additional pieces, and making them accessible and inclusive of that whole family system.
I like that, just sort of widening the lens, right? Just taking what we have and just making sure, or looking for that opportunity maybe to widen the lens.
So I had a follow-up question, I guess. Could you share like some of your challenges? And like, you're doing amazing work, and I know it's not without challenges. And how do you mitigate those challenges to be able to support in the ways that you are doing? Leveraging resources, how are you coping with because it's a challenging work.
We actually have Blanca knows this. The past year, we were actually displaced from our normal drop-in space where we run program for 9 months due to a landlord renovation, and it was hugely challenging. We have a really incredible staff team and incredible partners. So I would say we don't do anything alone. And we have really incredible folks around the table. I think there was a lot of resilience developed to change through the pandemic. And not that that's what I want for folks, but it's made this team really open to, sadly, the changes that we can't avoid. And so when we had this huge disruption. Everyone met it with creativity, with solutions. And yeah, it's through that collaboration, just problem solving and centering the community. At the end of the day, everyone cares so deeply about the outcomes, the work we're doing. Failure is not an option. So we adjust and try to deliver the best program we can with what we have. And we do it together.
Thank you. Lisa and Ashley.
I think, like Jasmine, I feel like space is usually a barrier or something that, and so partnerships with libraries with free spaces that we can actually use stuff. But wouldn't it be great if, we had our own with a kitchen, with ideally. And I think Our Children, Our Future is working towards, we have a new space opening up in a area that was sort of identified as higher needs, because I'm not necessarily getting I'm getting people who are volunteering to want to come to this program. Like, yeah, I'd love to massage my baby. I'd love to learn how to massage my baby. But one of the key components of that is that bonding and that attachment. So how do we reach the people, or how do we reach the people who maybe aren't super comfortable with that, who have a different experience of touch in their own life, and who maybe are uncomfortable, with that connection with their baby. So I think targeting specific locations is one way that we're looking to try to meet those needs. Um, yeah, because it's great when you have people volunteer to come to the program. You want to come to the program, that's great. I can already see that bond and that attachment is already there. So how can we also expand the program to make sure that we're meeting those people who maybe have more complex or higher needs?
Yeah, and I would just agree, partnerships really is how we kind of overcome some of those challenges. I mean, we're really lucky here that we do have a great space. And so we have sort of our like main space here in Peterborough, but then we have sites sort of around the county as well. So we have lots of places to offer things. But it's that building those partnerships, and meaningful partnerships, and ones that'll, serve both of us, right? To serve a wider community.
Thank you.
Well, I
How
think
are
we've
we
got,
doing?
yeah, one more question there, unless just I think it might be a nice way to sort of wrap up our conversation by giving you one more chance to share or reflect on a promising practice or approach that in your program, especially with that aim to support maternal mental health, and anything you might want to say about the impacts that you've seen. So, Jasmine, could we start with you on that one?
Sure. I think I highlighted some of the specific areas of what I think make our approach so valuable. I think one of our strongest practices is embedding that emotional and mental health support kind of in every layer of programming. And I feel like I'm repeating myself. I can't speak highly enough about the team. And one thing that came through in all of the survey feedback and kind of the quotes that we got, that resonated. Like our team members were named. Like there's just such a relational piece that gets built through these programs. And that comes from just a really dedicated and skilled team that understands the work and the mission and is bought into it. And I think the sort of, again, that holistic approach that we're trying to address some of those just basic needs. And, you know, even things like some of the feedback around, it's not just the hampers, it's, you know, that time to not have to prepare that meal and to be able to sit with other moms during this program
Right.
that day. Like, we don't often think about that time piece with meals, what we do when it's ourselves and we're home at 7 and whipping something up. But when you're a single parent or newcomer, like that matters. And so it's a small thing each week, but it makes a big difference. And yeah, I think there's a lot of upstream mental health benefits that I wouldn't actually know how to begin to capture, but from what I've read and seen from our evaluation, I think there's some indicators there that we're having this larger impact on their overall experience of parenting and bringing and birthing. I'm sorry, there was like a second question. Oh, the impact. Yeah, I think I could go on. There's so much data, and a lot of concrete. You know, there's that social connection, the relationships, the food, the impact just to their bottom line of getting through each week financially, nutritionally. We actually had a lot of really specific positive feedback around breastfeeding success. So, you know, there's some of those more specific outcomes that we do have as part of our program. Like, we want to see healthy birth weight. We want to see, you know, better outcomes with breastfeeding, which is tied to food and food systems. And we had a lot of that direct feedback come back to us that, you know, moms saying, I would have given up. I was ready to give up. And that what they learned was not so complex. Like, it was holding baby differently. There was, you know, alternatives to nipple pads they weren't aware of. And so, you know, small change, big impact. And it's really meaningful to hear within the program that these are outcomes. And again, we know how much further downstream those changes go. So I'll leave it there.
Yeah, thank you, Jasmine. Ashley, anything you want to say about promising practices or approaches?
I mean, I think even kind of in my time being here, I've noticed in all of our programs. So, you know, we're also an early on center as well. So, like in our early on programs, our CAPC programs, you know, these, like, mental health is being talked about in all of the programs now. And whether that's maternal mental health, infant mental health, you know, all of those things are kind of happening. So, which can only be a good thing, right? Talking about it can only mean good things. And then just to share a little bit of feedback from our most recent participant evaluations. I mean, they're always so positive. With I just got kind of a quick little like cap of it this morning, so I didn't get a chance to really go through it. But really, there was lots of comments about an increase in confidence and connection to parenting. You know, some of these moms were coming in and just feeling very disconnected from just the act of parenting, but that by the time they left after their 8 weeks, they were feeling, you know, more hopeful, more able to take on the role of parenting, and feeling less alone. And many over the years, and especially this group, you know, they are continuing their connection. They're actually still getting together on Tuesdays because that was the day that we met. So at the end of program, they started planning a Tuesday meetup to stay connected to each other, and to stay connected to our agency. So they're coming to our programs. But again, just having that connection to each other, I think, is huge.
Really huge, definitely. Thanks, Ashley. Lisa, over to you.
Yes, I agree with all of those things. All of those things that both of you have said are really, really important. I think the only thing that I would add is, because yes, we are a team, because they're coming to not only this program, but maybe the Welcome Baby and maybe the play group and maybe the dad's night or maybe the whatever, is consistent messaging. So if we are talking about if we're talking about mental health, and again, maternal, infant, whoever, is our messaging consistent? Do we have all of the right information as family resource workers to provide them with supports outside of us, because we are not the experts in mental health? And are we consistent with that messaging? So are we saying, you're not alone. There are other people, and connecting them with those resources that they need. I love that your group is like meeting again afterwards. I had that too. It was happening, where they kept getting together, and I was like, well, why don't you come to the Welcome Baby program? You can all meet over there and we'll give you food, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, I think consistent messaging is what I would add to that.
Mhm.
That's great.
Excellent. Yeah, so important.
There's a question in the chat from Lee. It says, have any of the panelists had experiences where mothers and or fathers are traumatized by the birth experience? If so, what has been the best resources or most successful support offered? Anyone want to take that one?
We've definitely had this, and also just in chatting with our partners on Great Start Together, especially this past few years, like high increase in the severity and just trigger warning for folks. We're talking about tough stuff, but like maternal death and infant death, and so like really complicated, complex experiences for the staff team, for everyone. I'm really repeating myself, but in all of these things, whether it's a traumatic birth with good outcomes, or trending to positive, that wraparound experience, I think has gone a long way in our program. Ideally, they've established some relationships with different partners, with our family support workers, and so they just have kind of a wealth of resources waiting for them, and those relationships established already. So I would say it's a strength, going back to some of the other questions about these programs and why they're so important, because we're ready, we already know them, or they know us, and so it's I think a little less traumatic, and they know at least where to start. And if we're not going to be the ones providing that direct mental health crisis support, we know how to connect them, or that's when we start to move mountains and ramp up those referral requests and try to connect folks. So I don't know that, again, this is feeding into our future forward, looking at more crisis mental health supports, because we are seeing this increased complexity and difficulty, and we want to be ready, because that's where we unfortunately see things going. And I would love if other folks have on this call have things to share. I'm seeing stuff pop up in the chat. This is the kind of work we're also only going to get through together. And yeah.
Yes, thanks, Jasmine. Lisa
you.
or Ashley, did you want to add anything?
So in Not What I Expected, we do a whole week that's called Sharing Your Story. So the participants can share sort of whatever they would like. Lots of trauma comes up in those sessions. We prepare people. They are, they know that they can share as much or as little as they're comfortable with. So, nobody's forced to be re-traumatized by their experiences. But we do find every week, every time we do it, they come in the beginning, everyone's feeling very anxious about the week. But then by the end, they, all of them leave saying, I feel like 20 pounds lighter. And, just sharing this story to people who actually want to listen is, that has been helpful for them. And fortunately for us in this program, we have a social worker as part of the program. So, if there's anything, any sort of follow-up that needs to happen, we're making sure that they are supported, after the end of program. We're not just like sending them back out into the world going, okay, thanks for sharing. See you later. Yeah. So, but again, I think sometimes just being able to share those stories can be really sort of therapeutic for people.
Yeah.
Thank you for providing a safe space. It's important.
And thanks for the question, Lee.
That is our voice, our strength. That's a perfect example of it right there.
Right.
That's right.
Well, I think we'll move into wrapping things up unless anybody has any final thoughts or comments. Our panelists, much gratitude to you for spending time today. And I know thought and preparation was put into what you're bringing forward. So we really appreciate you, offering that and giving us a window into the beautiful work that you're doing in your communities. And so we just wanted to go through a few closing activities. Oh dear, my voice is starting to go. Few closing activities in our time together today. And I've been peeking at our community resource spotlight board, and delighted to see lots of people have added some thoughts there. I won't go over them all, but there are some examples of how we engage participants to talk about their mental health by using active listening, doing activities that promote self-care, being non-judgmental, normalizing mental health, holding space, building trust in relationships and connection, sharing a little bit about yourself as well. I wonder, Lisa mentioned something about that, just about, you acknowledge sort of your own space and identity and sort of location and
where it's appropriate.
Yes. And I wanted to, because it's a dance that we do, right? That just sort of knowing those boundaries. But I always believe that, sharing a bit of yourself to that appropriate level and appropriate space does help to build that trust and sort of normalize. There's a lot here, and there's a couple of little larger stickies with some stories that I'm looking forward to diving in and reading. So I invite you to go back and check out the board, and please continue to feel free to add to it, and we will perhaps pull a summary together from it and send it out to everybody. And gratitude once again to Brass Bell for putting together that excellent poster. Make sure you check that out. And to Neofax and Rachel for sharing the mental health fact sheets, both in English and French there. So that's a really great resource that you might be able to make use of. And so Blanca, I thought I would move into we have a survey that we can go through together. If that feels
that's perfect.
Good timing. Okay,
Yep.
Let me get that going here. I've lost I've lost myself. Okay. I'm going to again put a link in the chat, and I hope you will join us as we go through reflecting on our time together today. Oh, there we go. It's a mentee presentation. So this sort of allows us to both give feedback anonymously, right? And also kind of get a sense of how everybody is feeling and reflecting together on our time. And I believe I lead us through here. So we now should be moving on to the first slide, which is an invitation for you to share what was the most valuable part of today's event. So if you've clicked on the link in the chat, and I hope you have, you should be with us here and have an opportunity to share your comments. And we'll just give 30 seconds or so for everybody to do that. Maybe I'll put a minute on the clock. There. Sharing of resources, learning about programming in different locations, information on the different programs, how they're implemented, creativity in programming. It's definitely helpful and valuable. This is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. The knowledge of the presenters, definitely, I valued that.
It's excellent.
Feeling less alone in the work. Passion. Yes, I heard that too. Lots of passion. Okay, just another second or two. Get your thoughts in there. And then we'll move on to the next question. See, I'm being called off the stage here. Okay, next page. How satisfied were you with today's event overall? Maybe I'll just put 30 seconds on the clock here. It feels like there's some positive responses here. I hope you feel safe to, if you have some grumbles or disappointments, that's okay too. Okay.
That's good.
All right, we feel ready to move on to the next question. Okay. What topics would you like to see explored in future network events? And if you have topics that aren't mentioned here, you will have a chance to share those in the next slide. Just give a moment. Those dots are fun. I like seeing them come up. So it seems like those topics, those suggested topics are well received. Give a moment to think if there are other ones. And if you have any other ideas, feel free to share them here. Maybe I'll just give us a few seconds. Transportation strategies, yes, good thinking. Maybe just wait another moment or two. Evaluation and storytelling, infant mental health and development and attachment, budget-friendly cooking ideas, self-care, strategies for mitigating food insecurity and the rising cost of food. Excellent suggestions. I think there's just one more slide. Special need children care and mental health. Okay. Oh, sorry, I think I clicked that a little too soon, but I think this is our final question. How confident do you feel about engaging with and raising awareness about maternal mental health in your role or program? Feels like there's some nice confidence around this, which is really great.
Really good.
I can't remember if there's another slide or not. Let's see. Oh, well, anything else you'd like to share? Feel free.
Any closing thoughts? Takeaways? You've given us so much.
There was some really, there's some great comments in the chat as well, so I appreciate those. Oh, thank you. Yes, agree. Gratitude to our presenters. Oh, I've kept you over a little bit. Apologies. Yeah, we will wrap this up. Thank you to the preventers. And we're not alone. Yes, that's such an important. I heard that from all our presenters and in our discussion today. So that is fantastic. Thank you for taking the time to stick around and share your thoughts. And really thought this was a fabulous event. I really was so glad that you all came out and we had some time to be together. And thank you once again, Ashley, Jasmine, Lisa. It was really great to have you here. And thank you for telling us all about the great work that you do. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day and a wonderful rest of the week, and that the sun starts to peek out a little bit more. And I will send out a summary of what you've shared on the board. Yeah, take care, everybody, and we'll hopefully see you again. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Sydney.
Thank you, Blanca. We'll talk soon.
Yeah. Take care.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.